Welcome to the Rock Solid Families Podcast. I am Linda Hutchinson here with my snowplow parent, Merle. Hi, honey.
Hi. Nice lead in. Nice lead in.
Well, that is the title of our show, right? Are you a snowplow parent?
I'm a snow plowing husband because I am the one who plows the snow around here, but I'm not a snow plowing father.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about what that means.
Are you a snow plowing mother?
I try not to be. I have been guilty of that in the past, but and you know, for those,
I would say you're a helicopter mom, not a snowplow mom.
What?
I don't see you barreling out and clearing the path.
No.
What I do see is you hovering.
Hover.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling me out on that one.
well, you know, it's what it is.
We're working in progress.
Progress.
Yeah. So
you know?
Anyway, that's the talking about parenting today. We're talking about obstacles that are in our child's way and that we make clear as smooth as we can, whether it be through a snowplow or a bulldozer, sometimes it's called. If you would Google either one of these, it would describe this style of parenting we're going to talk about today that we really see a lot in our office that really we want to address. So this is a parenting show.
Yeah, I do think, honey, it's important. I don't, whether it is snowplow or helicopter or whatever it is, it's not to point the finger as if it comes with ill intention. I think it comes actually with the best intentions. People want the best. They want the best for their kids. And so, it's more of a reaction. Man, I want to do this right as a parent. And sometimes by overdoing it, you end up messing it up.
So what kind of parenting are you then?
I would probably be more on the neglectful side. I would be like, whatever.
All of these are I don't know irrational ways of parenting or irresponsible.
I would be
or
more likely, and again, that's why you and I have to be a balance, because I would be more likely to say, like, who cares? Let them just pay the price for whatever happens. And so I would let that happen. And I'm not saying that that's always right. And you would be more of on top of it, right? And so that's why we have to dance together.
Well, really, this is our own counseling session. I'm glad you can chime in with us.
Which one are you?
Which one are you? But again, like you said, hon, as we are getting into this, it's not with ill intent. There's we are not saying you are ill-willed or that you have wrong intentions. But what we're saying is the results don't end up being well-rounded adults, self-sufficient teenagers. And so we're going to try to help minimize that damage that we can do. And you're right. I can helicopter. I've been known to helicopter before. And so anyway, we're doing bulldozing and snow plowing, though. Before we do, though, we want to thank our sponsors.
Yeah, so let's thank Maxwell Construction, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and the Hoosier Ice House. Thanks again to those guys and the support that they give us. We also want to thank all of you listeners and viewers out there. Thank you for continuing to pass our shows along. I heard just again today, and I think this is why we do what we do in terms of the shows. On a regular basis, people come in and say, "Hey, I listened to that show, and this is what it helped me with." And so that's what we're about. At the end of the day, it's not about a million views. It's about the views that are out there. Are they helping and being used by the people? And so we just want to thank you guys for that.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some of these styles of parenting that really do more harm than good. At our last Families Rock class for 2024. We're going to be at the Lawrenceburg Firehouse this Saturday, if you're listening to it when this show launches, November 23rd, 2024. So if you're listening in the archives, then check on our website, because if you're listening and really into 2025, there's a whole new season with whole new dates. But the last one for 2024 is November 23rd, Saturday, November 23rd. It's 8:30 to noon. You can register online by going to rocksolidfamilies.org, or you can just show up at the Lawrenceburg Firehouse on Saturday. So again, if you're listening currently, that's coming up.
Yeah, coming up. So, all right, so let's get to the parenting work here. And so we talk about the snow plow or the bulldozing. And so you get the picture. A snow plow just clears out a way. And it's supposed to make it easier for everybody that's coming behind the snowplow because there's a rough road up ahead. And so the intention of the snowplow is good, right? It is good. But what happens is we oftentimes clear out the things that make us stronger and tougher. And so, and we know that the body gets stronger when we make it deal with the stresses and the forces of life. And so we know that, for years, guys would wear back braces and stuff when they were loading trucks and stuff. And every, day in and day out, they'd wear all these back braces when they were loading trucks. And we found out that their backs got weaker and weaker and weaker. And so the intention was good, like we're trying to protect these guys, but because their back never had to do the work, the brace was always doing the work, these guys would be getting weaker.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the same thing happens with trees. If you take a tree and it's all protected by all the other trees in the woods, and then you cut all the other trees down and you got this freestanding tree, that tree is going to be in trouble because it no longer has any wind block from all the force of the wind that's coming. So it's not strong enough.
Yeah. I think about when we used to live in Hidden Valley Lake, they were known for snow plowing the streets. Like we could get anywhere faster in Dearborn County because
they were good about it.
They were great, right? And so that cleared the way for us, which was nice when you're in a car.
Right.
But when you're a child who needs to learn through doing and learn through hard things, we're not helping our kids. And so we actually have more long-term negative consequences for children when we intervene and when we take away any obstacles that are in their path.
Right.
I want to share with you a post recently by one of our famous favorite parent gurus, John Roseman, and we used to call him Dr. John Roseman, but he was a psychologist that worked with families and children for years and years and years and wrote tons of books, including Parenting by the Book that we really recommend.
He was on our show. You can go back on the archives and search that. But he posted something that I thought really applied to this today. It says, one of the things parenthood has taught me is that you don't necessarily do children any favors by trying to make them happy. Sometimes in order to promote a child's progress towards self-sufficiency, parents must do highly unpopular things. Unfortunately, many of today's parents are reluctant to do anything that might result in their children even being temporarily unhappy or hard, right? And so he mentions 3 factors of that, but he's just telling us how, just to make it easy, just to make them happy, we snowplow, we bulldoze through the hard things or any difficulties or any consequences that might come, and we really don't do them a long-term help. Yeah. Well, let's talk about what that might look like, right? Because I think sometimes we get the idea, we read the article, but there are different characteristics. And as Linda and I talked out, we've already confessed our sin to you, right? I'm the neglectful one.
We're not even talking about helicopters
the helicopter.
Today.
And so, which one are you? And so the idea here is these are some of the characteristics. And the first one, that again, you don't have to have all of these, but we all have portions of them. The first one is that constant intervention. And, and this is associated with a lot of drama. These are the parents who, like when I worked in the school, I could count on, nearly the weekly phone call. How is this going on at the school? How, calling the teacher. It's just constant intervention. And they don't realize that the rest of the teachers in the building are like, oh my gosh, here they are calling again.
Did you know that Johnny wouldn't share outside in the playground? And then my daughter came home crying. It's like you can't keep intervening. By the way, parents are coming into us exhausted.
Yeah, that's the high drama part of the energy.
The high drama. And it's like, it's because you're pouring too much energy and too much focus and too much time on that constant intervention.
I remember when recess duty, right? Like kids have been going out for recess for like 3,000 years or something crazy, right? And so we had a parent call and she was screaming about how it was freezing. And literally it was like 32 degrees. Okay. It was freezing. And we made her daughter go outside for recess. And I was just like, are you serious? Like really? So again, you might be guilty of that, but the idea here is yes, they might be cold. the difficulty there for them is, Mom, tomorrow I'm taking a coat because yesterday I was cold at school, That's what I want from them, adaptation and flexibility so that they know what to do versus, well, I don't have to even worry about the coat anymore because they're not going out.
My mommy won't make me go out. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one that you can see that you're a snowplow parent is if you have this excessive praise going on, if positive, constant reinforcement, you are just, making sure your child knows without a shadow of a doubt they're the best, and you want everybody else to praise them, and you're the one that is going to pay for the trophies because they don't have trophies in your child's league, but you're going to pay for the trophies so everyone gets one. Like, excessive praise is a sign that you are a snowplow parent.
Yeah, you're plowing out the opportunity for them to feel a little bit.
Well, they'll cry if they didn't have a trophy.
So you're trying to move that away so that they can't experience that. Another one, boy, we've talked about this one so many times, and is that idea of you're so overly involved that you are scheduling and over-scheduling your kid to be on the right path, the path that you want them to be on. And so you've got them, whether they like it or not, right? They're taking piano, they're taking foreign language, they're in martial arts,
our parents
they're on a football team, right? We didn't get
instruments.
Into that. Yeah, our parents didn't love us. But so there's idea like you're over scheduling for the sake of trying to plow out every opportunity or any obstacle that could be in their way. But look at all the opportunities you'll give them. And in the meantime, you don't give them those opportunities, right? You overflow or you overflood them with too much to do. And also the house has too much to do now.
And sometimes a child will say, I don't want to play football anymore. I don't want to do gymnastics anymore. And you'll be like, oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yeah. And you just keep plowing through that. Like, you're going to be the Olympic star and you're going to push through this hard time. And so if they're, and again, we don't let our kids quit in the middle of the season.
Right.
But if from year to year they say, I don't want to do basketball anymore. I want to try judo or whatever, jujitsu or whatever, like, let them kind of lead the way on what they're doing and not doing. But again, you can't be plowing through that to get them to that highly successful career that you think they want.
Let me throw this on a slightly different bent, and that would be because some kids want to be involved in a lot. They have high interest and stuff like that. But then you will have kids who they don't want to do anything, right? They just kind of want to lay around the house. And it is okay in that respect to say, listen, I don't care what you do, but you need to sign up for something this fall season, okay? You're going to do something. And so you're not plowing away. You're actually pushing out a challenge to say, I'm gonna be that outer force that makes you get uncomfortable.
Good point. So there's a balance, right?
Yeah.
The next one is the fear of failure, that you're more worried about them getting cut from the team, or you're more worried about them not being invited to the party, or you're more worried about them getting a B on that test. And so you're the one that's making them study or, doing their homework for them, or you're the one calling the friend to see if that friend will include your child in that party or that event. And so you're more worried and protecting them from any kind of failure or disappointment. And that's what Roseman's trying to say about they can't always be happy.
Right.
They can't always be included. And so that's where you've got to step back and let the natural consequences, let them figure it out. Let them talk to that friend and ask them why they weren't invited or can I come? Not you.
As you say that, my mom and dad never cared if I failed them. They never did anything for me for school. But one of the benefits of larger families.
Yeah.
In larger families, you can't be a bulldozing parent very easily because
it's
there's
really
just not
exhausting.
enough fuel in the bulldozer for all that. So,
But our society is kind of making it sound like those are the neglectful parents.
Yeah.
Like they must not love the child because they don't have them in for sports and they're not letting them do everything they want. And so part as a parent is being able and willing to say no and not making your child happy.
Yeah.
So
let's get to some more nitty gritty because now we're going to scratch a few people. And that is,
the why.
Why? What are some of the reasons why parents could be engaging in the snow plowing? And again, like, we're coaches, so sometimes we have to call out what we see.
Yeah.
And so when you hear this, are you coachable, right? Sit in it for a moment. Sit in it for a moment and go, wow, that is something that I'm challenged with, okay? But one of them One reason why is just the overprotectiveness. Like we said, we're trying to put our kids in bubble wrap. We're trying to make sure that they never experience a hurt, a scratch, a pain. And so it's just this overprotectiveness because we don't want, straight up, we don't want them to hurt. We don't want them to fail.
And I think that goes along with the next one, that the personal experiences. Like if you experienced rejection as a child, if you experienced, let's say, you were molested by a cousin, then you're going to be this overprotective parent. I can see it in a lot of my clients. Like, I don't want them to go outside our neighborhood, or or outside our yard, and because they had a bad experience, so they've tied the two together. And so we're asking you to separate it, get help for your insecurities and your fears, and not bubble wrap and really snowplow for your child.
Yeah, there are risks in everything.
Yes.
I think about this with swimming in the ocean. Well, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's extremely low, the chances of you getting bit by a shark, okay? But it could be, I heard that somebody got bit by a shark, and so you're the parent that says, my child's never going in the ocean because people die from sharks. So it's like, yes, I guess there's a risk, but there's a higher risk of the car accident that you could have been in when you drove to the beach. Yeah. So, it's just that idea, like you got to put a little bit of rational thought in.
And again, we're asking you to use common sense. If they're 4, it's different than if they're 12. And so you just want to, the risk versus harm.
Don't throw them in the shark tank.
Exactly. Yeah. The next one is fear of failure. Like some parents have a deep-seated fear of their child failing, and that it somehow reflects on them.
Yep.
Right? If they got cut for the team, that makes you a bad parent, or like you're less athletic or whatever. And so this fear of failure for them or for yourself.
Yeah. The next one is just the desire for control. And so having lots of control over knowing what my kids are doing, who they're experiencing, what they're experiencing, and an anxiety that comes in when you don't feel like you have a control. So, I think that's that idea. Like I have to know what each one of you is doing. And, we've talked about that. That's a challenge.
Yeah. And I'm guilty. Like control might be an issue. Go ahead, say it. And that creates that hovering for me. I don't plow through the difficult times. I'll let them experience the difficult times.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
but
you hand them a shovel and say, dig out on your own.
Yeah. The next one is unrealistic expectations. And sometimes because of the way you were raised, maybe there was this unrealistic, unhealthy expectation on you. And so sometimes we, without really even realizing it, we turn it around and put it on our kids. Even if we hated it from our parents, we come and do that with our kids. I've been guilty of that too. And so sometimes we just have such high expectations that our kids feel like I can never please you, or it's never going to be enough.
Yeah. And the last one I really want to speak on here is we all the time talk about the peer pressure on kids. And so we try to protect our kids in terms of education to say, you don't have to do what the other kids do and stand up to the other kids, because you don't have to follow the wave. It is every bit as bad with parents.
Yep.
The peer pressure with parents. And so we talk to our kids about this, but the idea that you have to sometimes look in the mirror and go, wait, am I letting the world dictate the pathway that we're going to walk on, or am I going to use something much greater than the world's value system? And so I think because the Jones are doing it is just not a good enough reason. And so it's that idea that sometimes because the Jones are doing it is the reason why I shouldn't be doing it, right? So that pushing back about not, all the other kids are doing this, so I guess I should have my kid in it. No, like if it doesn't work for you, your kid doesn't need to be doing it.
So we're going to give you some practical steps on how to avoid being a bulldozing parent, okay? And so I'm going to kind of dovetail on what you just said, hon, about the setting your values and your limits. Like, do that for you and your husband or you and your family to decide, according to God's word, what are going to be our limits and boundaries. Make them clear expectations, enforce them, consistently with your family, regardless of what the peer pressure says. Really look at it like, okay, God, what are you calling me to do? Like, what is it that would bring you glory? That's what I want to, not that if I have an Olympic athlete or not, or everybody's everybody's happy. It's what you want, God, for me and our family.
Yeah. Maybe an umbrella over top of all this is always encouraging independence.
Yes, whenever possible.
Yes, always encouraging
age appropriate.
Age appropriate independence to say, how could you solve that on your own? What there's always a time to ask for that help. But before they go to this first stage of asking for help, the first stage should be, what resourcefulness do you have within yourself? So I think that's kind of an umbrella off the top of saying, we are going to help you learn to be a problem solver across the board, so that because the bulldozing idea is the whole idea that somebody else is always solving the problems.
I remember growing up, we lived right across the street, which, by the way, is Dixie Highway, which was a very busy street, that my mom would send me with some cash and my brothers, and we would go up to Remke's Market, and I would be buying bread. And I remember she would want 4 loaves for $1, and everybody got to carry one. I got 2 because I was the oldest.
You were the big one.
I was the big one. But I mean, I can't imagine parents letting kids do that anymore, right? I mean, I was probably 10, which means my brother was 7 and my other brother was 4.
Right.
And so she would send me with cash across a busy street, which had a crosswalk, but still, like, independence. And I know that we live in different times, but I think that we're going to the other extreme of not encouraging them and challenging them to kind of go out of their comfort zone and do things to foster that independence.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's also important. One thing that you can be doing is you can set some outcome expectations, right? Like, well, hey, you're capable of making B's, all right? You're capable of making A's. But the bigger thing to do is actually praising the effort that you see. All right. So if your kid is just busting his tail and he comes up with a C or a D, but you know he busted his tail, the grade becomes secondary to the sweat that's on the table where he was working, right? The flip-flop of that also takes place, all right? So your kid's got a little gift for the academic side, and he hasn't lifted a finger, and he's pulling off, a B without any problem at all. And he's not, you see, he's not even close to working what he could. That's not praiseworthy, right? That's when you're going to jump his case, right?
Come on, buddy.
Well, but I got a good grade. The outcome is, again, yes, the kid's lucky because he can do that. But what we're trying to do is get a work ethic within the child.
Work ethic. That's an important thing. We're trying to not just the grade, letter grade or the trophy. It's the work ethic behind it. How much did they put behind it? Not what you did plowing the way, but what they did. And then that kind of goes along with allowing for failure.
Yeah.
Not... Let your child experience setbacks. Let them learn from mistakes. If they get cut from a team, right? If they do get a bad grade, like, okay, so what did you do? Well, I didn't even do my vocabulary. I didn't even study. Okay, well, that's probably why you got a D. I'm not calling the teacher and asking for a redo. It is kind of ridiculous today. They get chance after chance after chance to do something they should have just done well the first time.
You're not helping most kids when you do that. You're fostering a lesser ability out of them. And so we that rule came because I was in the school when that came, that the kid can get 500 chances to take and finish something. And that rule came on the idea that there are some kids who, usually with IEPs and stuff, could use more tries. But we put it into the mainstream, and that hurts the mainstream. We saw it with our own kids. Our kids are very capable, and they would come home and say, "Oh, I don't even have to do it because they're going to let me have another chance.
I can turn in late. It's no big deal."
Yeah, and as parents, we're over here screaming because that's not what we want to foster in our kids.
No. The next one is to foster resilience. So help your child develop coping mechanisms. What do they do when there is a challenge, when they do experience failure? Do they, remember when our son was wrestling and one coach was such a hothead and he let his kids throw down their headgear and not even shake the other person's hand? And man, that would never fly on our team. Man, you're going to shake that hand whether you won or lost. You're going to be respectful when you go off that mat. You're not going to yell and scream and throw things. You've got to foster that in your child now so that they can handle hard things later.
Yeah, you fell off the horse, get back up and get on the horse again. And so the setback is something you get a moment to mourn, but then you got to get back to your mind to keep plowing forward with the next thing. Yeah. And so that goes, the next thing we really want to promote here is the idea of self-sufficiency. So these are simple things that you can actually start age appropriately, that your kid is capable of doing certain things on their own. It might be that they're able to bring their dinner dishes over to the dishwasher. All right. Rather than you going over and hovering over to the dishes and taking care of it. It might be that they can make their bed. It might be that they can clean their room. It might be that they can do their laundry. But when you see that they even have a spark of capability to do that, that putting up that opportunity to be self-sufficient, all of a sudden, I think it is cool because, our daughter is 19 and she's fully capable of taking care of herself.
Yeah.
She can cook her
Cooking,
own
doing
meals.
laundry,
She can do her
yeah.
own laundry. Like
She cleans better than me.
There's not even, she needs to do that, by the way. I noticed her room. So that there's just that idea that they're capable.
Yeah. I will confess that when our second oldest son was in high school, I did their laundry, and I enjoyed laundry, and I just did it. And so when he went into college, I remember him calling like the first couple weeks.
He was mad.
Yeah, he's like, "Thanks, Mom. I have no idea how to do my laundry."
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I did not set him up for success, right? I mean, he enjoyed it while he was in high school, but now is like, now what do I do? Tell me how to do laundry. And that was my fault to do that.
Yeah. The next one is encouraging positive and healthy social interaction. And so, guys, the cell phones, we've talked about them so often. Teaching your kids to get rid of those and learn everything from learning to look at others, especially people in authority, in the eyes, and to be able to have a nice, strong, bold handshake. The idea that you can go, I don't like all these kiosks and fast food for ordering because that was one of those places where we could train our kids to say, hey, look at the menu, figure out, and now speak loudly, because they always wanted to put their chin down and kind of, whisper.
Yeah.
It's like, that's another lost opportunity. But you want to teach your kids how to socially interact well, because that's a skill that will be lifelong, and you won't have to be saving your kid by speaking for them.
And that is so true. And our son went to the doctor the other day, and I'm still in the room with him to talk to the doctor. But, he was down, his head was down in the phone. And I thought, no, we're going to put the phone away and talk to the doctor. But our teens especially are burying their face and burying themselves into a phone. When there's somebody right in front of them that's asking them questions or wanting to talk to them, wanting eye contact. And so please do not let them bury themselves and hide and make you do all the answering. You do all the talking,
And
whether
lose
it be ordering.
the opportunity.
Yeah, whether it be at a
social
restaurant
interaction.
and someone says, "What would you like?" And you're like, "Oh, well, she wants chicken nuggets." No. What do you want? Tell her what you want. Like, okay, that's a really simple way of not being a bulldozing snow plowing parent.
Yeah. And if they won't do it, then they don't eat.
Then they don't eat.
Right. And listen, we remember saying that, listen, if you're not going to do that, then we're just going to eat and you're going to have to watch us eat. And again, that's not being mean. All right, guys, that's not
Sounds
being
like we're
mean.
starving our children.
Well, none of them are losing any weight from it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The last thing, guys, is sometimes when your kids are going through hardships, they think that they're the only one that's ever experienced anything difficult, all right? And so the idea that you share some of your hardships, not like, you beat them up like, you should have seen how tough it was, but the idea that your kid's not the first one to ever walk through snow.
I'm still thinking of like, in my day, I walked to school uphill both ways.
Brother on my back. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking
But
of.
it is important. It's important, that our kids knew that, I was buying all my own clothes by the time I was 14 and 15 years old. We were buying our own cars, and we didn't look at it as hardship. We looked at it as opportunity. Well, this is the only opportunity that I have to go make it to the next place I want to go. So the idea that you share what people have gone before, we do this all the time in history books. We read these stories of people who came across ships, that took months and months to get across the ocean. And when we read that, we go, oh my gosh, those people were so tough and strong, right? And that's that resilience that we would like to see in more and more of ourselves and our kids.
Yeah. So by avoiding some of these common pitfalls of bulldozing or snowplow parenting, you can empower your child to develop skills and confidence and resilience to really be able to succeed in life. And so please, we're all guilty, as Merle and I just confessed, it is tempting to kind of rescue and to kind of, kind of hover and those kind of things, or neglect, but because you're tired, right? What is your syndrome that we experience often?
PFS. Parenting fatigue syndrome.
Maybe you have PFS, right?
Yeah, and that usually happens with the last kids in the family and not the first, where you go, I don't care. Go do whatever you want to do. I don't care.
It's kind of like senioritis, right?
Yeah, you're shutting down. And it's not that you love the kids less. It's just that, you're
tired.
You're not ready to
Hey,
put the
trust
energy
me,
in.
we have been parenting for 33 years. We still have children in the house. We're ready to be empty nesters again. But anyway, we hope that's been helpful. Again, we're not perfect. We've got a lot of work to do too, but we're just hoping that you can learn from what we see, from what we've learned ourselves, and that we can be better. God, we're not going to be perfect.
Right.
And by the way, you tell your kids, we make mistakes. We tell our kids all the time, we're not perfect. We know we make mistakes, and we're going to tell you we're sorry when we blow it. But we're going to continue to grow and help our kids continue to grow and strengthen.
So one of the challenges that I think is worth mentioning here is we just went through this list. And when you go through this, if you see things that you or your spouse or the two of you are guilty of, have the conversation together before you just change it in your mind and try to implement something differently. Okay. Yeah. You and I had the discussion today about, there was a change and we weren't on the same page, which causes confusion. Okay. So if there is a movement that you want to move towards, then have the discussion and find some common ground. And then, it doesn't have to be the right common ground. It's called common ground. And just do that so the two of you stay united.
Yeah. Because the enemy would love to divide you as parents and to build a wedge with you and your child. So don't be surprised. Don't surprise anybody. Don't surprise your spouse because you changed the rules midstream. Don't surprise your children by like, poof, today you're not allowed, or today you are allowed. Like, let's make sure we're communicating all along the way. And that's a good point, hon.
Yeah. All right. So we hope that was helpful. We want to thank again our sponsors, Maxwell Construction, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and the Hoosier Ice House. Again, thanks to all of you listeners out there. Also, we want to thank the good Lord for just giving us the opportunity to do the work that we do. And we just thank again, the people that come in and support us and help us to live another day in the mission field.
We were just talking this week, this past couple weeks with our students in our before school Bible study, and we're teaching them that we all have one identity as children of God. To be a child of God is your one identity, whether you're black or white, whether you're tall or short. We have this identity as his children. And we need to teach that to our kids. Like, you are a child of God. I'm a child of God. And then we have one purpose, and that one purpose is to glorify him. So what our goal is as parents is to whatever we do, whatever we say, however our attitude is that we glorify God. And so if that is your purpose, if that's what you teach to your kids, you can't go wrong. You're not going to get it perfectly, but if your goal and your filter is filtering everything through, is this going to glorify God? What I'm going to do, what I'm going to say, is that going to help my child in the long run? That's our purpose as a parent.
All right, guys, again, thank you for listening. So Rock Solid Families, building a stronger community, one family at a time. Make it a great day. Rock Solid Families wants to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for sponsoring the Rock Solid Families podcast. Casey's has grown to be one of the largest and most unique garden centers and gift shops in the Cincinnati tri-state area. Whether you are looking to take on that next landscape project or simply add a little home decor to your house, Casey's has you covered. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Call them today at 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home. Rock Solid Families wants to thank Maxwell Construction for sponsoring the Rock Solid Families podcast. For over 30 years, Maxwell Construction has been a leader in turning dreams into realities, building schools, banks, restaurants, and many other commercial and public facilities. Maxwell Construction has made it their priority to not just build buildings, but to build into their community. So if you have any construction needs, call them at 812-537-2200.
Rock Solid Families would like to thank Hoosier Ice House for being a proud sponsor of the Rock Solid Families podcast. In the heart of historic Lawrenceburg, Indiana, the Ice House is at the corner of Vine and High Streets. The historic building evokes a feeling of comfort with spacious indoor and outdoor dining, a large bar, and comfortable dining areas. Large enough to host parties, yet intimate enough to feel like your favorite neighborhood restaurant. So thank you again for the Hoosier Ice House for sponsoring the Rock Solid Families podcast.